How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we've got a Never Deck profile for Masters, and yeah, the first bit of Masters content for the new year. And I thought I'd start off by doing a deck profile of one of my most favourite decks, and that being King Cold, because it's been a while since I've covered anything more fun. Like, this is more of a fun profile than it is competitive, but still I always try to make my fun decks competitive, so that way they at least have they have some oomph to try and go against competitive decks, but you can then play them for casual, but you can still try and be competitive with them if you want to. And King Gold is one of my favourites. Like, green isn't in the best spot. It's got a lot better than it used to. It got a lot better in it's got more generic good cards, like some new or some more good green generic stuff. But the only problem is it hasn't got the best leader going. Like, the best leader you could potentially do anything with in the current game for green is Gohan. He's the best kind of generic one that making use of it, like the generic-ish is the kind of one, and it's the best one to use it with. And any other green deck doesn't really stand much of a chance doing anything. Like, we've got some interesting ones, some cool ones, but still we haven't got a good. We need more generically good ones, more that aren't heavily based on the archetype like we've seen before we start again, like the Zenkai series, and getting the good stuff. And also, it doesn't help that like a red dominated format, which we had us being a Zenkai, and kind of felt like we were going to with the release of what's it called, Explosive Dance, getting shocked because red's got a lot of good red decks. That's why there's more variants in red. But then with other colours, it's more like there's one the best deck, and then there's maybe one or two decent ones still in that colour. So yeah, green isn't in a great spot, but then I feel like King Cole can still be good if you pilot it correctly, with any deck really. So we're going to get into the list. I know it's been updated, so it's a little bit different than the last one because it has been updated with like new cards. We've got some new good stuff. And before we get into that, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel greatly, and helps you if you give it a like. Helps you know that you like the content and you enjoy it and continue doing it. If you drop a comment if to say if you don't understand from the deck profile or something I haven't covered, comment down below. It's nice to have a little bit of interaction. Like, basically, you see the comments, reply to them as well. Help out, make sure everything's covered, just in case, because I'm only human, might not cover everything, and I try my best to cover as much as I can. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe. Keep you updated with my videos as when they drop, and if you get a notification bell, you get alerts to when my videos do drop as well, so you know when to watch them there and then, or that they're available to watch later for you at your leisure. So out of the way, let's get into the deck profile and have a look at King Cold. So with King Cold, let's start off with the leader, because with the leader, it's always nice to have a refresher and kind of understand what the leader is. If you don't really, because in this game, it's a leader-focused game. If you don't understand the leader, you're not going to understand the deck, and it's nice to see what the leader kind of does, so you can understand what the deck does. And King Cold's one of those ones all the way back from set 13, so ages ago, like over 10 years ago, many moons ago. And it's revolving on field cards. Like, it's one of the green decks back when we had the gimmicks, but it has quite a good gimmick, quite an interesting gimmick, and that's what kind of appeals to me for it. I don't know if about anybody else. And it's around using field cards, so like using multiple of them, because it's got a permanent that essentially allows you to reduce the cost of any 2-cost green extra by 1. So your 2-cost green extras come down for 1. And on both sides you have an auto where when you activate basically when you activate one of your green 2-cost field cards, you draw a card. So you play it when your green fields, that's to cost 2, because that's what you really play for field cards, and then you draw a card, and that means you can get the effect off it and then get a draw, and that's how you draw. You don't draw from any other way, you have to play cards to draw, so it kind of has that downside, and that you have to actually play cards out. You're not really inherently plussing, you kind of get benefits from the card, but then you're still plussing, so you have to use an energy every turn unless you're using the Unison to kind of play out a field card to get the draw. So it kind of has a downside in that. Most green decks around this time had that kind of negative in that it wasn't great in kind of gaining advantage, so that's one thing, but the field cards are actually pretty good. And on the front side, you got the extra auto, which is like most things do that revolve around field cards, is that when you start the game, you play out your main field card, for this one being King Cole's Dynasty, which is your big field card that allows you to play multiple field cards, which you get in a little bit. Awaken's really nice though. When you awaken, you have to be at 4 less life, so you have to get on 4, no auto it, go on higher life or anything like that, which is a shame. You have to be at 4 less life, but then you get the untapped 2 energy and flip over. So you get the 2 energy, which is not often something you see in today's game. with leaders. You don't often see it untapped too, but that's quite nice because it allows you to get that 2 energy back because you're drawing from the fields and from other cards, and it allows you to give more energy. So on your Awaken side, you can then play another field card and have the second energy to use how you like it. So on the Awaken side, the only difference is rather than the same permanent and same auto, but then also on the front side as well, one thing I forgot to say on the front side is that there's only one little change from the front side that the front side has over the Awaken side. On the draw with a field is that you can also take up a life. So when you play a field card, you get to take a life and draw one. The draw is not mandatory. Take a life is optional, so you don't have to take a life if you don't want to. But it helps you awaken quicker, so you have to get it down to 4. And with the on the Awaken side, you don't have the option to take a life because you're awakened now, so you don't have to worry. But you do have the Ever skill, and the new skill now of Activate Battle, which is once per turn you can sack off one of your green extra cards. That's not your main one, so when you 2-cost green extra cards, not your big main one you start off with. And you get to gain 10k power for the battle. That's your player's turn, so you can use it offensively, just sack off a field card to gain 10k for the battle, or do it defensively as well. And it's got benefits because there's free 10k every turn, which is very nice. It also allows you to remove your field cards off the board so you can play them, because we'll get into the field card in a sec, because that'll be the first card we cover in the main deck. Because you can't play the same copy of the same field card. You have to play, if you have one on the board and you want to play never that copy, you have to sack it off, you have to get rid of it before you can play another one. So yeah, it's like this effect kind of facilitates being able to replay the field cards somewhere when you want to play multiple times to get as much benefit as possible. So that's the leader, pretty simple, and let's get into the main deck. So start off with the field card. This is the one that I said that we start off with, which you can call Dynasty. It's a 6-cost field card and has barrier, so it's really nice that you don't want to pay 6 for this to start from the game. And having barrier means it's got a protection to your opponent. There are ways to remove field cards. There's not many. It's like they're quite niche ones, but it means that you just like if your opponent doesn't have a way to kind of hit the field, this can't be targeted, which is great because you don't. This is the main crutch to your deck. If you lose this, you're going to be in a bad spot. So that is that, and it's got 2 permanents that are very, very wordy, but essentially what this says is that while this card is on board, you can have multiple 2-cost green field cards on board, and the other one is you can't play another copy of the field card you already out until that card on board, that field card you have on board is gone. So if you want to play out a field card that you already have, you have to sack off the one on board first before you can play that new one. You can't play it and then lose it. You have to get rid of it before you can play it. So that's what it does. Essentially, it's barrier. Allows you to play more than just one field card, because in the rules of the field cards, you can only have one. If you have one on board, you have to sack off. You have to lose it. So you can lose it if you play another one. This allows you to have multiple, as long as they're 2-cost green ones. And that's what you play, so it doesn't matter about that. So that's the main field card. So this essentially means you're technically running a 49 card deck or 59 card deck, because you start off with this game, so you're already fitting for your deck and already winning at the start of the game. And then we got our field cards. We've got a new ruler that we play 4 of, Anticipated Onslaught, which we play 4 of, Supplement Invasion, which we only play 2 of, and then Terrified Realization, which we play 3 of. There is one ever 2-cost field card, which is a promo, but has no real good synergy with this. It's around the Broly engine from the Broly Beyond style deck, but it can go for this. It's not. There is a version you can run that with, but I don't feel is it worth running unless you want to be very gimmicky. But if you do want to know about that list or how to utilize that, do let me know and I'll go about putting it together to try it out. But yep, these are all your 2-cost field cards. All just have filled as their main keyword and stuff, but they all give you different effects. They all have 2 effects that have different benefits. The only one they all New Ruler, Anticipated Onslaught, and Non-Stop Invasion both have 2 autos, whereas Terrified Realization it only has 1 auto, but it does have another skill in a permanent. So with these ones, we'll go over on one at a time. So we got New Ruler. So here's the first auto on New Ruler is when you play this card in your battle area, you can take a life if you want to, so you can add to 1 card for your life to your hand. Then you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, or up to the top 3 cards of the deck. So that means when it says up to, you can look at either 0 cards on top of your deck, 1 card on top of your deck, 2 cards on top of your deck, or 3, and then look at them. So you can do it one at a time as well. So if you see if the first card you see is what card you want, you can just go, okay, I'm going to show that, and grab that, and then not bother with everyone's. So you can prevent things from going to the bottom of your deck. But then, yeah, after looking at up to top 3 cards of your deck, you add up to 1 mono green card among them to your hand and place the remaining at the bottom of your deck in any order. So any green card means you're not going to whiff because there's only 1 non-green card in the deck, and it means that you're never going to whiff off this. And it's any green card. It means you can have an field, super, a useful battle card, secret rare, or even an extra card, which is really handy. So you can get almost anything, and that's why it's good to look at one at a time. because then you don't want to end up putting, like, you don't want to just go all three straight away and then see, like, say, two super combos, grab one and know that the other one is stuck at the bottom of your deck, never to be seen again. So this is a really nice one. I don't feel it's the best one. I know people feel this is the best one. I don't feel it is. I just feel it's a good one, but not the best one. And that's mainly because of the second auto. And the second auto is when this card is placed in the drop area from a battler by one of your skills. So namely, so it'll be your skills. Your opponent gets rid of it by their skill, won't trigger. But if you get rid of it by your skill, like you say your your leader's effect, it's a trigger, and that forces you to draw a card, then discard a card. So you draw a card and then discard, which isn't useful because sometimes just like all your cards in your hand are good and you don't want to lose them. And if you do this, it gives you a new card, and you got discard a card, and you've got to try and choose the worst one. But then sometimes you don't want to lose a card, so I don't feel that's nice. So maybe I'll play this out, keep it on board, and I'll prefer to play the other ones and recycle the other ones. But we play 4 copies of this because you want to at least find one, drop it, and sometimes you do have to like cycle this for the effects of others, so or to do certain things. So we play 4 of. Then we got Anticipated Onslaught. Don't know if I've turned that around. And this one doesn't take a life, so they all help you take a life, apart from Anticipated Onslaught. It's the only one that doesn't take a life, so this one, but it does have a really good effect. It's my favourite one as well, because it gets some really nice synergy and also a little bit of removal as well. Because its first auto is when it does gain you advantage though, that's one thing. The other ones, they kind of gain you advantage by taking a life and then doing an effect, whereas this one just gains you advantage but doesn't help you take a life. So it can be good in certain situations, but I feel it's always going to be good. Because its effect is if your leader card is a Green King Cog PR card, so if your leader is this specific leader, when this card is played in the battle area, you draw a card. Then you choose up to one or more mono green Frieza clan or Frieza army cards with any cost of 2 or less in your hand and play it. So this allows you to free play any 2 cost or less Frieza clan or Frieza army card, while also drawing a card so it replaces itself in hand. And free play out. And there's some really good targets in there. There's some of my favourite ones. There's really useful ones. There are good targets for this. I like to loop this, like sack it off, play it again, so you can kind of spam the board with stuff. And we'll see those targets in a little bit. And then it does have another like kind of niche second auto, which is once per turn when a green extra card would field in your skill in your battle area, other than this card is placed as a drop by one of your skills. Get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with any cost of 2 or less and KO it. So essentially, while this is on board, if you sack off one of your other field cards by one of your skills, then you get to pop one of your opponent's battle cards 2 or less. So you get a little bit of removal, but it's only niche because it's only 2 or less, and there's not many things that are left round or you have to worry about, but sometimes some matchups it can be quite useful. And we play 4 copies of this because like, you loop this one because just every time you're drawing your card, well, the other one's kind of takes a life. Sometimes you want to take a life to get more advantage when you're Awaken, but this is one that's always drawing your card and helps you spam things out on board. They're kind of like, because green has got to be very conscious with energy. With green decks, you've got to make sure you get the best use out of your energy, otherwise you're going to have a horrible time compared to other colours. Then we have 2 copies of Stop Invasion. This is like technically your Champa. Like no deck's got Champa or Supreme Card anymore because I got banned, but this is your on-theme Champa, and a way to kind of yeah, like deal with Unisons, not worry too much about Unisons. Even the Unisons aren't great at the moment, it's still useful to have that option, like the main deck built into, like green does have. And since we're getting Z-Unisons at some point in the future, this could be a good one. So still be in the deck for sure. So the first also is if your leader's card is this leader, when it's played, add up to one. You can add up to 1 card from your left to your hand. Then your leader gains 10k and double strike. So it gives you 10k. You play this out. You can take a life if you want to, and then your leader is 10k and double strike. If you think about putting that on top of your Awaken leader's effect to sack it off to gain 10k, you can make your leader 35k double for just your leader swing on its own. That's quite nice. That is really nice, especially to finish off games. Doing that, sack it off, and then put as much counter power as you want. It means you have a nice way to finish. And we only play 2 copies of this because it doesn't gain as much value as the other ones because it doesn't replace in hand. It take a life, but then when you're awakened, you don't really want to be taking life unless you're like going for game or need to take a life for effects. And even on the front side, it's not gaining you a card, just taking a life, but it's not gaining you any advantage, unlike the others. So this is normally one you want to play after you're awakened, just to put some double strike swings on. And then the second also, which is what I mean about controlling Unisons, is when this card in your battle area is placed in the drop of one of your skills, you choose up one of your opponent's Unisons and remove a marker from it. So you can knock a marker off your opponent's cards. So if they got like any continuous skills that going on, like some effects where they use the marker skill, you can knock that off by taking the marker off and just make it easier to grind out Unisons. Which I feel coming up with Z-Unisons in the next set or the set after, I think it's the next set, then this could be a really good one to help deal with those when they come out, like an easier built-in way. And then we've got Terrified Realization. So this is the one that only has one auto, and its auto is when it's fired, place in your battle area, add it to one card for your life to your hand and draw a card. So it draws a card just like anticipated, just straight up draws a card, which is sometimes better than looking at the top 3 to find a green card, because it's just straight up drawing and not bottom deck and stuff. And also allows you to take a life, so this one's a really good one to have on the Awaken side, so just take a life, draw 1. And it's got a nice little passive activate permanent to help when you've got a fair few field cards on board. So it's if you have 4 or more extra cards in your battle area with the field skill, your green Frieza clan battle cards gain 5k power for the turn. So it just means while you've got 4 field cards in your battle area, and it includes itself, your green Frieza clan cards gain 5k power during your turn. So free 5k for your Frieza clan battle cards, which is really nice. So you just have this. You start off with King Cole's Dynasty, you have this, you just need 2 other ones, and then it's in effect. That's really nice. So you play 3 copies of these because you want to kind of see it to get it out, and because it still gives you value and it's helpful for Awakening. Because I used to have only 2 copies of this and 3 Unstoppable Invasion, but since Unisons aren't as prevalent as they were back when this deck came out, it's better to switch it around so to have 2 Unstoppable Invasion and 3 Terrified Realization. So that's it for the field cards. We still have extra cards, but that's it for the field cards. So now we go into the battle cards. We got 4 Berry Blue, sorry, not 3, 4. And this is one of our targets you can play for free on Anticipate Onslaught, because it is a Frieza army, that's green, and 2 costs or less, being a 1 cost. And it's a nice little search as well. This has got an auto where when it's played, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and 7 is a very good amount to dig through. 7 cards is quite good. You're always going to find the targets. You're going to very, very rarely whiff, but it can happen. And you get a look at the top 7 of cards of your deck, and add to 1 green extra card with the field skill in it, or a 2 specified cost green Unison among them to your hands. You either find your Unison, which used to be like the King Vegeta used to have when we first played the deck, because Unisons were a thing and like a popular thing at the time, and the main mechanic. Or you can find a field card. So we don't play the Unison because it's not as useful at the moment. I feel it's better to go Unison-less build to have like a better time. And it basically helps you find all your field cards. That's not the only benefit. It helps you find your field cards, which could be handy, especially if you go turn 1 Anticipate Onslaught to draw a card, and then play out Berry Blue, and Berry Blue will look for another field card, so you've got another one to play the next turn. But there's a nice little activate main, which is once per turn by paying 1 green. If your leader card is this leader, you can activate 1 mono green extra with energy cost of 2 and the field skill, from your drop. So it allows you for 1 energy to play out a field card from your drop instead of from your hand. So you can then recycle your field cards after you've lost them and sacked them off, to then get their benefits and get the draw on your lead. This is a way to continuously get drawn in this deck. And it's one of the things that people won't often target to get rid of, because this is the way you mainly gain advantage. Just 1 energy every turn. Just play back a field card after you sacked it off defensively, to play back on the board, trigger your lead, get the effect of the card. It's really useful, like especially with Anticipate Onslaught. Play this out, play something, draw a card, play something off it, sack it off, Berry Blue, play it back again, then draw another card, and then play something off it. It's really, really handy. So that's why we have 4 copies. And then we have Defending Father Paragus. This is a really nice one, because it's just green. You can go with Gohan if you want. Like, Gohan's kind of got a bit more use now, because you put things back in the deck, sometimes you want things back in the deck, but then it doesn't have the 10k combo, but this one does, and I feel I just go with Defending Father Paragus. It's the best one because it just straight up allows you to draw the 2 cards first before warping one, helps fix your hand, and then in green you can kind of loop it by putting it into your Z energy, then Fated Rival Goku put back in your deck. So that's why I like this one here. But it's nice because it's just a standard 10k, put it on the card, and like the other one, just in case you go against effects that kind of cancel it out and make use of that. We play 4 copies of Super Combo, because you've got to play 4. You can only have 4, so you might as well play 4. Then with King Cole, so this is the other card that you can cheat out with the Anticipate Onslaught. And you might be thinking, how can you cheat out? It's a 4 cost. Well, if you look at the card, it has a fair few skills. First one it has is critical, so it's 20k with critical. Remember, it's a Frieza clan as well, so that can get boosted by Terrified Realization to make it a 25k crit offensively. And it's got a nice little permanent where for every 2 green extras in your battle area and or drop, you reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 1. So if you get 4 field cards on 4 extra cards on board and in your drop together, then this gets reduced by 2, making it a 2 cost Frieza clan, which means it can be played off for free for the Split Onslaught. And that's what I like doing with this deck. It's just spamming, like recycling anticipated onslaught, so you can draw a card, spam out these, let's swing these for 25k crit, just apply some crit pressure so you deny your opponent cards from the life, while also attacking them down. And they're quite beefy guys as well, and you can do it for free, so you're not using your energy to play things, you're using your energy to use your field cards to get draws from your lead, and then spamming out some really nice battle cards. So you play 4 copies of these because they're good, and at the very least it's a 5k combo and green energy. Then we have 4 copies of Cool Effortless Strike. I love this card, it's amazing because it's a nice little counterplay. It's 4 cost, but only 15k, but remember by Terrified Realization, you can boost up to 20k, so in this pesky meta where we've got like 20k Z leads and like boosted leaders, this can still pressure those leaders by being 20k thanks to Terrified Realization, so you got that little nice thing to it. And it's really handy because it's a counterplay where you play this card, and if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less, it's placed in the drop area instead. I mean, you can stop your opponent from getting that card into play by putting it straight to the drop if it's 4 or less, and also play out at 15k. And you might be thinking 4 energy is quite dear, but remember this has a permanent similar to King Cole when it's reduced. So during your opponent's turn, you can reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each green extra card in your battle area and drop. So since you spam out field cards, you can get at least 5 on board. You can easily reduce this by 3 to make it so that it's just a 1 cost counterplay. And it's got some added little bonus, which is when this card is played, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand, they choose 1 card in hand and discard it. So you can kind of deny your opponent having something come in, and kind of like control their hand, make it like lessen their hand so that they don't really have as many resources and many things to do. So you play 4 copies of these. This is one card that in certain matchups can be useless. So this is like really nice card to be able to side out and an easy sideable option. Then we have 2 copies of Cool Armor Force. With the Z deck, like the upgrades to the Z deck for green, like green used to have a very really terrible options for its Z deck, and it didn't have the best options. But with Z extras now and some better Z battle cards, this this Cool Armor Force is a lot better. Is pretty nice. It's a lot better than when it first was revealed. It used to be like looked at it and think that's pretty terrible. But since its release and we've got more green cards, it's got some good targets. Because it's a 5 cost, 20k power, but has barrier double strike, so 20k double strike for 2 energy because it's got an activate main, which is if your leader is green and you got 3 or more energy, then you get to play this card out from your hand. So you can get this out, barrier, double strike, puts a nice little pressure for 2 energy, which isn't too bad. And it's got an auto, which isn't once per turn, which is when this card attacks, you can choose 1 of 2 effects. You can either choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it, or you can make your opponent discard 1 card from hand, so you can go for hand control or board control. Nice little choice. And then you've also got an activate main, which is limit 1. If you have a 2 cost a Z battle card with energy, well, if you have a Z battle card with an energy cost of 2 or more in play in your battle area, you can switch this card to active mode. So you can make this kind of dual attack if you've got a 2 cost or more Z battle card in play. And there's some nice new ones and a good one to go really nice with this to get more use off this, and very easy to get out thanks to your field cards in this deck. So we play 2 copies of these because at the very least it's a 5k combo, and it's green for energy. But it also has a nice little way to either go for board control if you need it, which isn't too expensive, or go for a nice bit of hand control as well. So you got the nice little options. Then we got 3 copies of Son Goku Fated Rival. So this is the card that I love in the deck. I used to run 4 of because it was nice to recycle your super combo, use your super combo, put it back with its summoning conditions, so you can get your super combo back and play. And technically, only play 4 super combos in your deck. Only play 4, like the legal amount is, but still get to use more than 4, which is not something most decks can do. Because with this card, it's a 30k double strike with barrier, 6 cost, and it only comes down for 2 because its activate main is for 2. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, so this requires your opponent to have a certain amount of energy so they can kind of play around it. And you place one of your Saiyan, Earthling, or Namekian cards, all with green within it, from your Z energy to the bottom of your owner's deck, to the bottom of your deck, and you can play this card out. So what you need to do is use a Paragus, and then or another copy of itself, and Z charge it when you attack or you combo. And then bottom deck, that card you put in Z energy back to the bottom of your deck, pay 2 to play this out, which opponents are 3 or more energy. And it's got a nice little handy auto, which is if your leader is green, when this card is played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore him barrier and KO it. So a nice bit of removal for barrier, which is something that kind of green struggled with. Like any deck, every deck needs barrier removal, and this is a really nice one. Quite cheap way, not the cheapest, but still a good way. And it's nice that it recycles super combos. That's what I love. That's why I still run these instead of the big 8 drops, because those ones need to attack with this just to be played to remove some barrier threats. and also recycle super combos is a really handy way. So the next one we have is 3 copies of SS Sun Gohan and SS Sun Goten Emotions Delivered. This is one of the new ones from the current Go Bros deck that came out, and it's just a nice handy card that all green decks have, because its summoning conditions is the way to play it is the activate main, which is limit 1, which you can only play 1 a turn, is by paying 1 green, and if your leader is green, your opponent has 3 or more energy, and you have a Z extra in your battle area, play this card from your hand, and that's very easy to do. There's really cheap, easy Z extras, and it doesn't require a specific Z extra. It's just a green Z, like a Z extra, could be a green, could be any color. Z extra just needs a Z extra in your battle area, and there's good ones in green for the Z battle card, so very easy to get out. And it's just more cheap plays, because the problem with green was it didn't have many cheap plays, and this is a really nice one that come out. And it's got some nice useful effects, because it's got the first auto, which when this card attacks, choose one of your opponent's battle card unisons and remove 2 markers from it, so it's more unison control, which is going to be very handy for when we get if the Z-Unisons become very, very good when an upcoming set. And also it's got a nice little auto where if once per turn, if one of your green Saiyan cards deals damage to your opponent, you get to choose one of these 2 effects. You either get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it, or make your opponent discard 1. So it's another one just like Cooler, where you either get the board control or the hand control out of it, but a Saiyan needs to do damage, but it's a Saiyan itself. You have your Fated Rivals as well, so you got ways to like put this through, and if this is damage, get a bit of hand control, and the more you build up, the more things you've got with it, because then you get multiple trigger if this survives. So a nice handy cheap card to get out, and very useful as well. So you got your barrier removal in the 6-drop, and you got some just big 30k swings for 1 energy. In this you got cheap swings, King Cold, cheap swings of this. You just got more cheap plays, which is something we didn't have a while ago. Then 2 other new additions from the I can't remember if this is the most recent set. I think it is the most recent set, and that is SS2 Trunks, Path to the Future. Now, you only have to worry about the first 2 skills in this card. You don't have to worry about the activate battle because it's not relevant in this. But you play this out cheaper by paying 2, so it's activate main limit 1 by paying 2 green. If your leader is green and you have 3 more energy, so this is another one unlike Fated Rivals and Emotions Delivered, where just like Cooler, it requires you to have 3 more energy, so it doesn't rely on your opponent, it just relies on you. You get to play this card from your hand, and then during the turn, the next time you will play a Z extra from your into your battle area, you reduce the cost on that by 1 green. So it means you can essentially, when you get the 3 more free energy, you can play this out and then free play out a Z extra from your Z deck, as long as you've got a Z energy, which is really handy to get that set up. So the turn after, when your opponent goes to free if you're going first, you can then start playing your Emotions Delivered and Fated Rivals. And it's also very handy because just like we've got Son Goku Fated Rivals as barrier removal, like the only problem with it is that you have to wait till your opponent get 3 or more energy. So if they don't do that and try to hold off not allowing you play that, so you can't remove their battle cards with barrier, Trunks fills in as a way to do it without worrying, because his auto is when this card attacks, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and negate indestructible and KO it. So green really has a problem with indestructible because it has no way to deal with it, it's just relying on KOing of things. So indestructible is a problem for it, but this allows you to have that indestructible removal in a card, and also have more barrier removal that isn't reliant on your opponent having 3 or more energy. So if you need to play it like remove something through barrier, but then your opponent doesn't have 3 more energy, Trunks to the rescue. And since you could be at 3 more energy, you have 2 for this, 1 for the field card, so you can still get the draw from lead, and then still be able to free play out a Z extra as well the same turn, because you don't need to play energy for it, because you'll play a 1-drop by just using 1 Z energy. So we play 2 copies of these for that instance. Remember, all these are like just 5k combos, so they're not dead in hand like it used to be back in the day of Dragon Ball at the beginning. Now we're getting on to the last few cards. Now we're going to go on to our secret rare, and that is, I've gone for a Great Ape Mass Saiyan Primal Carnage, because I feel this is really handy, and also it's a nice one. I just love this card ever since, like even before Poe took it to Worlds, and kind of like created so much hype using it, like in his games against Devil. I've always loved this one because when it was released, I made sure to grab it and used it for my King Cole, because it just meant that if your opponent's going in with anything that's not, if your opponent's going in with a Unison, you don't have to worry because you had Insupportable Invasion to just knock a marker off it and kind of like disrupt its skills or get anything that's pending on it, or even knock it out if it only had 1 marker. If your opponent goes for leader, you just negate the attack just with your 3 negates, which we'll get to in a bit. But if your opponent was going in with a battle card, all in, and try and finish you off, and you had 1 energy open, you just kill it using this, and then you're not worried because you never really play this. You just save this for you save this for the combo effect, and that is if your leader is green, or if your leader is mono green, and you remove this card from your combo area from the game. Then, when this card is used in the combo, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier and KO it. So just instantly pop the battle card. And normally I think they're safe with a barrier battle card, but this gets through it and is fantastic. And the one nice thing about this is if you have to use it early, or it's forced in your Z energy, you've got Fated Rivals put back in your deck, so you can kind of hopefully shuffle it up and draw back into it if you do get that, which is really cool. It does have an effect for 5 to play it out and make it dual attack triple strike for 40k power, but that's only that can be useful in like niche games, but it's mainly you're going to use it for the combo effect. And you could run different ones like this. I know you got the Cell Zeno you can run. You've got like there's different secret rares you can run for green. You got the Cell Zeno multicolor one, the multicolor one for set 9. You've got the Cell Max you can run for 1 energy. That like puts in some lot of pressure, like killing higher life. You've also got the Boo if you play Unison and stuff. You've got different, you've got some really good options for green. But at the moment, I like to have this one as my favourite option. Just need to get a hold of one with some of this deck to actually play it though. That's the problem. But that is it. And then our Overun for the choice. Like I feel like you don't really need to worry about removal and battle area because you've got Fated Rivals, Trunks, Emotions Delivered. You got Call Around Force. You even got the effect that I forgot to mention on King Cold actually. King Cold does have an activate main as well. Whereas once per turn, if you sack off one of your field cards, when you're 2-cost field cards, as a cost, you get to choose which one of your opponent's battle cards to KO it, and then add a field card to your Z energy from your drop, so you charge Z energy that way. So I forgot that this King Cold here is a way to use some removal to pop things on your opponent's board as long as they don't have barrier. And also chart by sacking field cards, so you remove them so you can use them again. And then even put some of these in Z energy, so you're using field cards to put your Z energy for your Z extras and stuff. So yeah, since you got all this removal and like, you don't have to worry about managing boards, I went for SS4 Vegeta because it's a free to play 30k beat stick, so just have the 6 in drop, Overrun for free, 30k, and it gives a bit more control to your opponent in forcing it when you overwhelm, forcing your opponent to warp one card from hand. This is warp, no anti-hand destruction shenanigans can happen with this, and then it's a free 30k. That's just going to lower your opponent's hand down, make him lose more cards in hand while putting pressure on. You could put another copy of this if you want to, but I feel there's lack of space, trying to keep it to 50 cards or 49 cards thanks to the field card. So you can play more of this. I just like to have the one, and I feel this card that kind of manage your opponent's hand a little bit whilst putting some pressure on for free is a lot better to do, since you don't need one to handle board because you've got a lot of board control in the main deck. So that's all the battle cards. Then we get into the extras. So we got 2 copies of Cells Destroying Kamehameha. Really nice one to just put 25k extra power. No, is it 20? No, 15k extra power into an attack by using just 1 energy, and then randomly rip a card from the hand. So do it defensively, combo out of attack, and rip a card from your hand. Basically, and you get to choose at random what it is. They don't get to choose, so you can hit some things that they really don't want to lose, which is quite nice. And make use of 1 energy is not nice because you'll leave normally 1 energy open for the kind of either use the 8 secret rare, or to counterplay a cooler, or to use Cells Kamehameha. So you got the options to use it for it. So your opponent's like left guessing like what are you going to use. He's going to try and counterplay me. He's got a secret rare, a cell. You got the options through. And also, if you don't have many plays, you haven't drawn so many things, or like wait for your opponent to get a certain energy to do things, you still got this to have out. And just when you go for a game as well, using this just potentially rip a super combo at hand, plus pushing more damage is quite nice. And then the other 2 we got is for Raw Supremacy, just a free negate, because it's just a negate the attack, and then choose it to your opponent's battle cards. Choose your opponent's battle cards up to the cost of 3 or less and KO them, so you can KO their tokens, and up to 3 costs, which is very nice against like wide weenie strategies. And it can be used for free, where if you have 3 or more green extra cards in your field skill in your battle area, so your main field card you start off with, and 2 other ones, you can activate it for free without paying any energy cost. You can use it as a free negate and potentially stop 2 attacks, which is quite nice. And then you've got 2 Homicidal Clone. Never free negate you can use when you're at 5 or less life, which is you go to 4 or less life to awaken. This can be alive as soon as you're awakened. And then negates the attack and gives you a token to block with. And this is nice because it's one of them like with black and red, where the tokens have combo power, so if they don't block with them, or your opponent stops attacking after that and you still have it, you can use it as combo power. And that is the main deck. So not too much change, but a little thing is mainly changed in terms of the battle areas. There's some of the new cards we've got, and change like secret rare and stuff like that. But this is the main deck that I'm going to give a try to, and I feel like this could be useful when it comes to Z extras. Z deck is quite simple in that you've got one copy of Frieza, because it's just an easy one. For 2 energy, 1 Z energy. Deflect, double strike, 15k. Remember, it gets boosted by your Terrified Realization, so it comes down as 20k. You can pop something off board like blockers and stuff, and then give it a bit more hand control with its second auto. You got one copy of Jiren, immovable, more unison control, especially like preparing for the thing, and just a handy, useful one. Because you can bring it out. It does cost 2 Z energy and 2 energy, but it's not too bad. And then it comes to the flak, just like with Frieza, so protect from coming out. And then when it comes down, you can choose one of your green battle cards for 5 costs or less, and kind of have it make it so it can't be removed from the battle area for the turn until the end of your opponent's turn. So you get that like really nice protection that's makes it only removable then by red by minusing, which only red can do. And then you've got another way to control Unisons by sacking off some of your Z energy to take off mark off your opponent's Unison, and if you at least sack off 2 or more Z energy, this guy then gains extra 10k in double strike, so you can make it like a fierce kind of finisher. And then we've got 2 copies of SS3 Broly the Tyrant. This is the card that kind of makes Cooler worth it running now, because it's a 2 cost 20k that requires 2 Z energy, and it's unique. But it's got a nice little permanent where if this card would be played from your Z deck, instead of playing its energy cost as Z energy cost, you can sack off one of your non-unique green cards from your battle area in your drop and pay 1 green energy and 1 Z energy instead. So essentially you can sack off a green card in your battle area that's not unique to reduce the cost of it by essentially 1 Z energy and 1 normal energy. So bring it out for 1/1. And that's perfect because that also allows you to sack it off for your fill cards, so you can help remove your fill cards, which you'll have plenty of there, and not really lose any of your battle cards to do this to bring it out cheaper. And then when it comes out, it's autos on turn. If you have 4 more energy, this battle card, and when a card in your battle area is placed in your drop, you gain 5k power and double strike, so you can make it another finisher. And a handy activate main where once per turn you can choose 1 or more. If you have 3 or more energy, I think it is. I can't see a little bit, but if you got 3 or more energy, you can send 1 non-unique card from your battle area into your drop to pop one of your opponent's battle cards. So there's more removal. Remember, your fields are a target because in the battle area and they're non-unique to kind of trigger this off, and then the activate main will trigger the auto to make it a 25k double strike. So all these handy skills, and it's a really nice one that is a cheaper one. It's like a 2 cost that can be out cheaper rather than actually paying the 2 energy to help it cooler. Then you got the Z extras, and the Z extras we have is Family Coming in Hand, Emotions Delivered to go with the 8-drop Gohan to give it a make it a 10k critical when you drop it. So you can make one of your Gohans take a critical to kind of push for damage, deny him life, and then force through trying to force through the attack to trigger its auto. We got Ultra Limit Kamehameha, a nice little one that doesn't really require energy to use defensively, apart from the second skill, to either be sack off 1 Z energy at itself to then give a card to extra 10k power, and then pop something for your less, or pay an energy, sack off 3 Z energy, then still get 10k. Discard a random card at your opponent's hand, just like Cells Coming Out, which is quite nice, and then pop something 5 or less to kind of have that defense there where your opponent can't go in with something 5 or less because there's a pop it. And then you got Gigantic Meteor, and the only useful thing of this really is that you sack it off for free to choose one of your cards and give it extra 10k power. That's it from the first effect. Sack this card off and choose one of your battle cards, give it 10k power for the battle. And then if it's on a Broly, which it's not going to often use, you get some extra effects like making you discard 1 and stuff like that, but it's mainly just there for the free 10k, because remember you can play out these for free from Trunks, and because then with Trunks you reduce the cost of them, so they're all 0 cost but 1 Z energy, and they only require 1 Z energy to bring out. And if you've got Z energy used and you want to put some more power on board and you haven't got a Z extra, drop them out. And since they're Z extras, they reduce the cost of things by having them on board as well for like the cooler counterplay. So that's a Z deck, and I do have a side deck with stuff. So we have some free copies of SS Vegeta, Magic Exterminator for against hand control for against other green decks. So if they just make you discard, you drop this and then just play it back and draw a card. Yamcha the Coming for like Android 21. Kaioken Son Goku along with Zamasu to go for a bit more hand control against decks that you feel you need to go like control the hand, kind of aggressive in that way. because it's very cheap. You can drop this turn 3, and then sack it off for this to kind of get 2 hand controls, potentially more, because of the fact this has crit. Then you got the Heated Fighting Spirit, so if you feel you really need to have more fill removal, and you need to not pay energy to do so, you got this card to switch out, like you normally switch out Overun for this one. Then we've got 2 Focus Breakthrough to deal with Floodgates, like Battle Card Floodgates. Focus coming out to have Defense and also Control Board. And then 2 copies of Big or More to stop against things that drop things for little energy but big things early. It's kind of like hold them off of anything 5 or more being to deal with you. Against decks that have a lot of 5 or more cards, kind of using this to kind of hold them back to means you can get to later turns with more energy, kind of survive a little bit better against things like U7 and stuff. So that is the deck. So the side deck, remember, this is just what I run. You don't have to run the same. Like, side deck is more personal to the player than it, because then people have different different likes, dislikes, different things they expect to be meta, things they expect to go against, or things they struggle with, or yeah, just different decks used at locals. But that's it for me. So it's very simple to play this deck. You just make sure you want to play the field card out, and then kind of awaken by turn 2 using the field cards to kind of awaken. And then once you're awakened, you then want to just manage your energies best with depending on what you have and what you could want to play and how you want to play the game. But that is it. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed my once again King Cold deck. I feel like this is one I'm going to probably play a bit more casually up until we have the new regionals, because I'm still going to keep playing Masters. I'm not going to stop playing Masters until it dies, but then it is on the I'm going to play more casual apart from regionals. I'll try and play a bit more. Can play a bit more try hard, whereas for casuals I'll play more fun things like this. And that's it from me today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.